Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Kyontara, also known as Kyonimations here on YouTube, and I'm a rig animator and a rig builder. So today I kind of just wanted to go through my process of creating another Smiling Friends rig, just because I'm pretty obsessed with Smiling Friends right now, and making rigs of the characters is just so fun and pretty simple to do. So I thought, why not make more? The reason I'm making all these rigs, honestly, is just to prep for making my thesis film in 2 years. I really want to make the entire thing out of 2D painted looking rigs, so I thought practicing this way would be a nice way to start off. At least I'm not going in blind. I've already made rigs of Charlie, Pim, Alan, and Glep, so I thought, why not make the 5th most important character? DJ Spit! I'm joking. The 5th most important character is obviously Mr. Boss, but I don't really feel like I have the skill set to make a character so detailed into a rig yet, so I just wanted to make DJ Spit instead. Honestly, it was a lot more fun than I was expecting it to be. I'm really glad I made him in the end. So right now what I'm doing in the video is just piecing together the different components of DJ Spit. Right now I'm working on his eyes, making some closed eye drawing swaps. So basically, if I hover above the eyeball, you can see me doing it in a second, but it basically allows me to flip between drawings on different frames. And so right now I'm adding the blinked frame. That way I can just go from opening the eyes to closing the eyes really quickly. Later in the video I also do this with the mouth. So basically, instead of drawing it on every frame, when I'm animating, I like to do it when I'm building the rig. That way I have each and every mouth swap already done, so the lip syncing comes really easily. It's how most rigs traditionally are done, and I've honestly come to love doing the different drawing swaps for the mouth charts. The best thing about it is that you can get really silly with it. Sometimes what I'll like to do is make like really zany looking mouths, and so it's like a little surprise when I pass my rigs down to people who want to use them and they're like, oh my god, what's this expression? It's just a little hidden surprise. I have a lot of them in my different rigs. For example, in my Glep rig, I wanted to put the middle finger on one of his arms. I just thought it'd be really funny, so that's just what I did. The other cool thing when it comes to making mouth swaps is that you can make different expressions using the different alphabetical characters in the mouth swaps. For example, in most of my rigs, I like to make 2 alphabets. One where the mouth is in a neutral or sad looking expression, and then the other is a happier looking expression. That way I can swap between if the character is looking really happy and joyous, or if they're just looking like they're bored or just in a neutral state. Fortunately enough, with DJ Spit, I don't really think there's any moments where he smiles, so I only made the frowning expressions, which saved me quite a bit of time. I would have liked to make more of him smiling, but I just didn't really feel like it suited his character much, and I don't know, I had the thought of like a really happy looking DJ Spit is kind of unsettling to me, so I just stuck with the really plain looking mouth swaps. For the mouth, actually, I've been referencing the same image that I made for another animated project of mine for school, which we had to hand draw the entire mouth chart, and it's really nice to reference off of because, you know, when you have it hand drawn, it has a really nice feel to it. So here I am making the neutral mouth position and opening up my reference. So this is the poses that I use for all of my rigs. I'm just going to be speeding up the process of me making the mouths because I don't want to be a yap fest during this, and yeah, it was a lot longer than I thought it was. Okay, yay, we're finally done with the mouths. Now what I'm doing is just fixing some issues with the Z depth. The thing with DJ Spit is his nose goes over his mouth, but his mouth is underneath the shape of his eyes and above the shape of his head. So what I like to do is just fix that now so I don't have to deal with those issues later. I'm adding a bit of stubble, and then I'm going to use a cutter to basically restrict that to the shape of the mouth. So that's what I'm doing right here in this clip. Now I'm just playing around with his eyes, and this is now me today working on the rest of the body. So it took me about 3 hours total to make the rig, which is a lot of time, but not as much time especially as some of my other more difficult rigs. For example, Pim was the most difficult for me to make since I had to make 2 separate mouths for him. One that acted like the puppet mouth that he does when he's screaming, and the other was more so like the drawing swaps that I was making in this video, which it took a lot of time, but it was totally worth it. Here I am adding in DJ Spit's iconic cross necklace that I think they said he stole from Charlie in the DVD commentary. Sometimes I like to snazz up the little details in my rig by adding some shading and lighting to them. So that's what I'm doing right here. I'm adding in some little streaky lighting across the metal of his necklace. And now I'm going to be going on to working on his arms, which is basically like my 75% done milestone. Anyways, here I am making the composite for his arms, and now I'm just adding in the different drawing layers I'm predicting I'll need. So I'm adding in now his first arm, the front arm, and the reason why it's not adding up to the drawing underneath is because I'm adding in pivot points. So they work kind of like bones, and now I can kind of bend the drawing however which way I want. I'm just fiddling around with envelope deformers here, but they didn't work out the way I wanted it to, so I just ended up deleting them. Doing the same with the back arm. Now he can use his arms freely. And then I'm adding a little bit of shading to the back arm just because these rigs are painted and don't have any line art. I like to add a little bit of shading so that it doesn't really look too messy and hard to differentiate the different parts. This was just a little gag I added in. I wanted to add in his gun so I can like pull it out from behind his head or whatever. So here's me drawing the gun. It's separated from his arm, and it can just be turned on and off by swapping the different drawing swaps. Now what I'm going to be doing is going to work on his pants, which was really fun to do. I love drawing really baggy clothing, so this was like right up my alley. Here I am making the little hip part, adding in the different lines for the pants, and then I got to work on adding in the different legs and the feet. I did have a little bit of trouble with the color of the pants at first. I made them a little too dark, but then I fixed it up pretty quickly. I had a little bit of difficulty, especially with the back leg, which I like to strongly differentiate from the front leg because it can get really confusing really fast, especially when you're posing your characters with the legs overlapping. But I was like, ooh, that's way too dark, so I quickly just fix up the colors and then get back to work. Now all I have to do is add in his little feet, so here I am adding those layers right now, putting them in the according spot, and then drawing out the shape. For the feet, I like to add envelope deformers, that way I can kind of pivot them and rotate them without having to worry about doing drawing swaps for the feet, which I don't really like doing. So it saves me a lot of time and a lot of energy. And here we go. DJ Spit is all done. The rest of this is really technical stuff, adding in different pegs for the hierarchy of the rig. And I didn't include it in this video, but afterwards I was just rearranging all the pivot points. That way everything rotates and moves from the proper position instead of from the absolute center of the canvas, which is the default. So here I am adding in all of those different pegs that I need to get DJ Spit's body to work the way I wanted it to. I hope you guys liked this video. It is very different from the content I'm used to making. I've never really made a commentary voiceover video like this about my rigs or my work in general, but it was really fun. And if you want more content like this, especially when it comes to building rigs, let me know in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you're interested in my work, I'd love to see you stick around. And thank you so much for all the overwhelming support on my channel. And thank you so much for 2,000 subscribers.